Hi, welcome back, and thanks for watching. So, in the past couple of videos, we've been working on eighth notes and eighth note rests and stuff like that. And in the last video, I kind of gave you an example of a transcription, and I hope I didn't confuse anyone with that by kind of switching it up, because what we have been doing so far, or what we had been doing, I guess, so far, was I would write down an example, and then we would just figure out how it sounded. And in that one, with transcribing, we were given an example. We were given, a piece of music on a CD, and we just had to figure out what the rhythm was. So I hope I wasn't confusing anyone with doing something like that. But I think it is it's a very important skill to have, transcribing. And I'm going to do an entire playlist on how to transcribe and what you're trying to get out of transcribing and different methods that I use and stuff like that. So I hope I didn't confuse you with that example of transcribing. But now what we're going to do is we're actually going to do some more eighth notes. So I'll write that down. Eighth notes. We're going to do a bit more eighth note examples. So actually I'm going to pull this out of a transcription that I did. And we're actually just going to take, I hope you can see it. We'll just start with, what can we start with? Ooh, this measure actually looks great. We're going to do these three measures right here that I've kind of picked out. And I'm going to put this at the bottom of my screen, so probably I'll be able to see it. I don't know if you will, but I'm just going to copy that onto my notepad. See, that might be a bit harder than I originally thought, but anyway, let's see what happens. Oh, that works a little bit better. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, that'll work fine. Okay, so this example, like most of our examples have been, is going to be in 4/4. Now, I promise we'll get to some more examples. They'll be in other time signatures soon. And it's going to be three measures long, so I'm going to try to make sure I leave myself enough space. So at the beginning, we had 2 eighth notes. Actually, we had 3 eighth notes. Then we had an eighth rest, a little curly Q at the bottom. Then we had quarter note, eighth note, eighth rest. Then, and maybe it looks like I'm running out of space, and this measure is pretty difficult, so we might just make this a 2-measure example instead of a 3-measure example. But then in the next measure, we have a half rest, quarter note, and then 2 eighth notes. And then we're done. So now, if you want to pause this, I'm going to, the step to do is to write in the upbeats and downbeats and also the beat numbers under this example. So hopefully by now you should pause the video and try to write these in yourself. Write these in on your own. But anyway, I'm going to write them in right now. So if you don't want to see the answer, you should stop the video. So anyway, this eighth note right here, that is beat 1, 1. Then we have upbeat here, so we've got 1 and 2 on that eighth note, 2. 1 and 2 and 3. 3 would happen on this quarter note because 2 eighth notes equals 1 beat, and then we've got an eighth note here and an eighth rest. So this whole thing together, this eighth note and this eighth rest, equals all of beat 2. So then we've got a quarter note, which happens on beat 3. And then that quarter note takes up all of beat 3, so then this eighth note starts right on beat 4. And then we've got an eighth rest. So then that's our first measure. We've got everything down. So now we move on to the second measure, and we've got a half rest that we start out the measure with. So that gets beats 1 and 2. So 1 and 2. And then we've got a quarter note, which happens on beat 3. And then after that quarter note, we've got 2 eighth notes right here. So this will happen on beat 4, and then this is the upbeat of beat 4. And now we get to move on to, and I'll do this in green like we've been doing these so far, writing in the upbeats and downbeats. So the very first beat of the piece is going to happen on a downbeat. So, there we go. Going to happen on a downbeat, like that. Right on 1, and then this eighth note happens on the upbeat. Up. Then beat 2, we've got our downbeat, like that. So this happens 1 and 2. 1 and 2, like that. And then this rest, I guess we can mark this as well, but this rest happens on the upbeat. And you know, if we were playing this, say we were just clapping our hands, you know, this beat right here on beat 2 is really just going to sound like a quarter note. Because if we're just clapping our hands, we're, you know, we don't really have any sustain. It's not like we would really sustain over that note. So really this is just going to bump, bump, ba, ba, ba. So actually, if we were, we're just, we've just got downbeats the whole rest of this measure. So actually, you know what? On second thought, I am going to erase that upbeat. And instead, I'm just going to draw in these downbeats. And I'm doing that just to kind of show you that, and I'll outline this, outline it in yellow. So we've really only got, we play every single downbeat in this measure. We play 1, 2, 3, and 4. We play every downbeat in this measure. And we only play, do it in blue, we only play 1 upbeat, which is right there. We only play the end of 1. So I'll put in my ampersand, end of 1, right there. Anyway, that's kind of interesting because we're still playing downbeats, but we've got these, oh, that's weird. We've got these, we're only playing downbeats, but we've got these eighth rests in there. So it just really looks a little bit different. We would hold this note, you know, if you're singing or you're playing a wind instrument or playing strings or piano or something, you wouldn't hold this note as long as you would hold a quarter note. So you would pretty much just attack it and hold it for, you know, half the amount of time that you would hold a quarter note for. But, you know, you would, you know, if you were clapping your hands, it would sound exactly like a quarter note just because you're clapping on the downbeat and clapping on the downbeat here and there. So anyway, that is the first measure. And let's just real quick, I'm going to write in the upbeats and downbeats on the last measure. So if you remembered, we had, we just have downbeat on beat 3 and we rest on 1 and 2. So on beat 4, we have our downbeat and then our upbeat on the end of 4. And now I'm going to put on my metronome. Metronome. I think I've got just enough time to get through this. Hopefully. There we go. Slow this down. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, one more time. Now I'll do the 1 and 2. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, end. Okay? So hopefully you found that a bit useful. We'll do a whole bunch more examples with these eighth notes because eighth notes can be kind of tricky when you're first learning them. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.